She walked into the courtroom with a composure so calm, it was almost confident that the story she had been telling for weeks would be enough to create doubt in the jurors' minds. Erica Sandoval sat down in the defendant's chair, leaning far back and crossing her arms over her chest, as if this were just an ordinary hearing. The woman was on trial for the murder of her ex-husband, Daniel Green, an officer with the Exeter Police Department with over 10 years of service. In the weeks prior, Erica had tried to build a different narrative from what the prosecution described. According to her, Daniel was not the innocent victim everyone thought he was.
He grabbed me by my shirt, and he started shaking me back and forth, and as he was yelling in my face, "Shut the up." And he's like, "You know, I could kill you, make it look like an accident." That's when he grabbed me from my ponytail, and he slammed my head up in the dashboard while I was holding Aiden. And
give him back to me, Daniel. No, don't touch me. You're gonna don't hit me. Okay, all right. You're going to jail.
She said he was an abusive and controlling husband, someone she had lived in fear of for years. When referring to the afternoon of February 6, 2015, Erica insisted the shot was fired out of panic and self-defense. Her defense attorney repeatedly emphasized that Daniel was a police officer, a person with power, and according to Erica, someone who had abused that power in their private life. By their argument, Erica was not the predator, but a woman backed into a corner. In the back row, Daniel's sister Misty Gray and his twin brother Matthew Green sat quietly watching every testimony. To them, the story Erica was telling felt like a painful distortion of the person they had lost. But in the defendant's chair, Erica kept a cold face and avoided looking toward the victim's family, occasionally tilting her head slightly, as if believing the jury was starting to doubt. Then the prosecutor stood up and requested to play a video from a neighbor's security camera, recorded on February 6, 2015. As the screen lit up, footage appeared of a woman approaching Daniel Green's house, a moment that could shatter the entire story Erica Sandoval had just told. This is the case of a police officer shot dead in the bathroom of his own home. And every detail I'm about to show you has been verified through court records, police reports, and trial testimony. The afternoon of February 6, 2015 began like any other workday for Daniel Green. The 31-year-old man was an officer with the Exeter Police Department, a small town in Tulare County, California. In over 11 years of service, Daniel had built a reputation as someone always punctual, serious about his job, and rarely absent from his shifts. So when he didn't show up for his shift that day, the unusual silence quickly caught his colleagues' attention. At first, people thought he might just be stuck in traffic or tied up with personal matters. But as time passed and Daniel still didn't make contact, worry began to spread through the station. Those who worked with him knew Daniel was the type who would never miss a shift without notifying someone beforehand. Finally, a superior officer decided to send a colleague to check on his house in Goshen, a quiet agricultural community not far from Exeter. Daniel's house sat on a quiet road, surrounded by the sprawling fields and orchards typical of California's Central Valley. When the patrol car pulled up in front, everything looked completely normal. Daniel's car was still parked out front. No broken windows, no signs of a struggle, but when the officer stepped inside, the atmosphere in the house immediately felt off. The home was suspiciously quiet. And then in the bathroom, he saw what made him freeze. Daniel Green lay in the bathtub, body motionless, surrounded by blood. Paramedics and investigators later confirmed Daniel had been hit by 4 bullets. One went through his arm, another into his chest, a third into his neck, and the final shot straight into his forehead. That last bullet ended his life. The position of his body showed Daniel had almost no chance to react. When shot, he was in the bathroom of his own home, a place no one would think required guarding against an attack. For the first officers on scene, the sight was both shocking and made them realize this wasn't a random shooting. It looked like an ambush. Police quickly secured the house and began examining every detail in the room, but the more they looked, the more questions the scene raised. No clear signs of forced entry, no furniture ransacked, no evidence of a prolonged struggle. And most importantly, the gun used to shoot Daniel was not there. The killer had taken the weapon from the scene. That showed the person didn't flee in panic. They were calm enough to take the gun and leave the house without leaving many traces. News of Daniel Green's death spread quickly across Tulare County and shocked the local law enforcement community. To many, Daniel wasn't just a police officer. He was a colleague, a friend, someone they had worked with for years. Those who patrolled with him described Daniel as a dedicated officer, someone who always followed the rules and could be relied on in dangerous situations. The fact that a cop was shot dead in his own home immediately led investigators to consider the possibility this was job-related revenge. Throughout his career, Daniel had made many arrests, conducted many investigations, and handled many tense situations. The possibility that someone he had arrested or investigated harbored a grudge could not be ruled out. Another theory was that this could be a targeted attack. Someone who knew Daniel was home alone and waited for the right moment to strike. Investigators began reviewing cases Daniel had worked on, checking lists of people he had arrested, and looking at anyone who might have a motive for revenge. But as they dug deeper into Daniel's personal life, one detail quickly drew their attention. Just a few years before his death, Daniel had gone through a contentious divorce from his ex-wife, Erica Sandoval. As detectives looked more closely at their relationship, they soon realized the marriage had not ended peacefully. Daniel's family and friends recounted that for years before the divorce, the relationship between Daniel and Erica was often marked by intense arguments and unpredictable outbursts. According to them, it had become toxic long ago. On February 6, 2015, when news spread that Daniel had been found dead in his home, Erica Sandoval was one of the people who showed up at the scene. According to officers present, Erica appeared shocked and cried when speaking to police. She said she had just heard from an acquaintance and rushed over immediately. When asked when she last saw Daniel, Erica insisted she had not seen him that day. According to her, they were divorced and only communicated when necessary about their shared son. At that point, to investigators, Erica was just one of many people they needed to talk to. But as they dug deeper into the final hours of Daniel's life, an unexpected detail emerged. A neighbor's security camera had captured footage on the afternoon of February 6, 2015. The video wasn't perfectly clear, but it showed a woman walking toward Daniel's house and entering. It wasn't conclusive proof to immediately identify the person. However, for investigators, the footage raised a key question. If Erica said she hadn't been to Daniel's house that day, then who was the woman in the video? When Erica was asked back for more questions, detectives decided to use the video as part of their interrogation tactic. They told Erica that the neighbor's camera had captured a woman entering Daniel's house and that they believed it was her. In reality, they still couldn't confirm it definitively from the footage. But in the interrogation room, Erica didn't know that. At first, she stuck to her story, continuing to insist she hadn't gone to the house on the day Daniel died. However, as detectives kept pressing and repeating that the video showed her entering, Erica's story began to shift. After hours of questioning, she finally admitted she had been to Daniel's house that day. Not long after, her admission went further. Erica told investigators that she was the one who pulled the trigger. According to her statement, the encounter had become tense and things spiraled out of control. But what mattered most to detectives at that moment was another detail. The murder weapon wasn't found at the scene. When asked about it, Erica said she had taken the gun from the house after shooting Daniel. She later led police to an empty lot where she said she had discarded the gun. Investigators found a 9mm handgun there, identified as belonging to Daniel Green. Finding the weapon not only bolstered her confession, but also allowed forensic experts to examine the shooting's technical details. Meanwhile, investigators continued reviewing Daniel's phone and communication records. What they found began painting a very different picture from the self-defense story Erica described. In the days before Daniel's death, Erica had called and texted him relentlessly. A total of 167 calls and messages were logged in that period. Some calls came in rapid succession within short time frames, showing Erica trying to reach Daniel repeatedly throughout the day. When detectives searched Erica's belongings after her arrest, they found a small piece of paper in her pocket. On it was written the name and birth year of a woman named Brenda Vela. Investigators later identified Brenda Vela as Daniel's new girlfriend, a 20-year-old woman he had begun dating shortly before his death. To prosecutors later on, this detail carried special significance. It showed Erica not only knew about the new woman in Daniel's life, but was tracking her information. When placed alongside the hundreds of calls and messages, along with Erica sneaking into Daniel's house and bringing his gun, investigators began to believe this was not a random confrontation. And to understand why the relationship between Daniel Green and Erica Sandoval became so strained, we have to go back to when they first met in late 2009 in the Visalia area of California. When Daniel was 26 and a young cop trying to build a stable life, he told friends he wanted a family, wanted kids, and wanted to settle down after years of dating different people. Erica Sandoval was 23 at the time. According to her friends, Erica also wanted a traditional family life. Less than a year after meeting, they surprised many by deciding to get married in Las Vegas in 2010. But according to Daniel's family, signs of instability appeared very early in the marriage. Daniel's friends said Erica sometimes had extreme reactions during arguments. In some fits of anger, she slashed the sofa with a knife, damaged bed frames, and even stabbed holes in the bedroom walls. Those behaviors worried those around Daniel. They said Erica's emotional outbursts often happened when things didn't go her way. One incident that truly frightened Daniel's friends occurred while he was riding his motorcycle. Daniel loved motorcycles and often rode with friends on weekend trips. But during one ride, Daniel discovered the motorcycle's brakes weren't working properly. When he checked afterward, he found the brake line had been cut. Daniel told a friend he believed Erica had done it. The incident nearly caused a serious accident. However, Daniel did not report it to police and didn't want to make things worse in the marriage. Things continued to deteriorate in 2011. A major argument between Daniel and Erica at their home became so serious that neighbors called the police. When officers arrived, both were arrested on domestic violence charges. However, no formal charges were ultimately filed. Still, for Daniel, the incident seemed to mark the end of the marriage. They officially divorced in January 2012, just over a year after marrying. Many in Daniel's family believed he had finally escaped a toxic relationship, but the story didn't end there. Just months after the divorce, Erica announced she was pregnant with Daniel's child. The news complicated everything further. Daniel told friends he wanted to be responsible for the child. Their son, Aiden, was born on January 5, 2013. Boy's birth kept Daniel and Erica connected in life, even though they were no longer married. Daniel's family said he loved his son deeply and wanted to maintain a peaceful relationship with Erica for Aiden's sake. But according to Daniel's friends, the relationship remained full of tension. By 2014, another incident truly alarmed Daniel's loved ones. A friend said Daniel once told them about a night when he was sleeping and Erica held a gun to his head. According to Daniel, Erica threatened to kill him if he left her or if he got involved with another woman. Though the incident was never officially reported to police, it became a story many in Daniel's circle recalled after the case broke. Heading into early 2015, Daniel's wife seemed to be starting to change. He began dating a young woman named Brenda Zella. Brenda was 20 at the time. Daniel even posted a photo of the two of them on Instagram. To many, it was just a small detail in his personal life. But to Erica, prosecutors later argued that photo may have become a trigger. Investigators discovered Erica not only knew about Brenda, but had written her name and birth year on a piece of paper she carried with her. When combined with the hundreds of calls and messages Erica sent Daniel in the days before his death, prosecutors believed they were seeing a familiar pattern of behavior. By their argument, Erica Sandoval was obsessed with Daniel's new relationship and could not accept him moving on with someone else. And as prosecutors described it in court, that jealousy, anger, and obsession led to the shot fired in the bathroom of the house. Erica Sandoval's trial finally began on October 1, 2019, at Tulare County Superior Court in Visalia, California, nearly 5 years after Daniel Green's death. In the courtroom, the jury faced a difficult task from the start. They had to determine what really happened in the Goshen house on the afternoon of February 6, 2015. Prosecutor David Alavezos opened with a clear and direct argument. According to him, this was not a surprise confrontation, nor an act of self-defense as Erica Sandoval claimed. As the prosecution described it, Erica had planned ahead, sneaked into Daniel's house, and ambushed him. When Daniel returned home and stepped into the bathroom, a place where he had no reason to expect danger, Erica stepped out and opened fire. Prosecutors told the jury that what happened in that bathroom was not panic. It was a deliberate attack. To support their argument, the prosecution presented the evidence investigators had gathered over the years. One of the most important pieces was the neighbor's security camera footage. The video showed a woman entering Daniel's house on the day he died. Though the image wasn't perfectly clear, prosecutors said the timing and circumstances matched Erica's later confession that she had gone to Daniel's house that day. Next, the prosecution presented Erica's confession during interrogation. Investigators had recorded her admitting to shooting Daniel and then leading them to the lot where she discarded the gun. The 9mm gun found there was identified as belonging to Daniel Green and matched the forensic evidence from the scene. Prosecutors also highlighted the phone data. In the days before Daniel's death, Erica had called and texted him a total of 167 times. To the prosecution, that number showed a level of obsession and tension in their relationship. When all these details were put together, the prosecution said the picture was very clear. Erica Sandoval had stalked Daniel, was obsessed with his new life, and ultimately decided to act. But when it was their turn, defense attorney Dan Chambers presented a completely different strategy. Instead of just defending Erica, he tried to change how the jury viewed Daniel Green. In his cross-examinations and arguments, Chambers tried to portray Daniel as an abusive man in their marriage. He introduced messages, recordings of arguments between them, and emphasized that their relationship had been toxic for years. As the defense presented it, Erica was not the predator, but a woman pushed to the limit after years of endurance. One of the most notable moments of the trial came when Erica Sandoval decided to take the stand before the jury. This was a rare and risky move in serious criminal cases because it opened the door for the prosecutor to directly cross-examine the defendant. When standing before the jury, Erica recounted her own version of what happened. She said that on February 6, 2015, she sneaked into Daniel's house not to kill him. According to her, her only purpose was to look for evidence because she believed Daniel was harming their son, Aiden. Erica said that while inside, she checked Daniel's safe and saw images she believed were child pornography. According to her, those images made her believe her son might be in danger. But this testimony immediately sparked controversy in the courtroom. Prosecutors told the jury that Erica had never mentioned these images in any prior interrogation. No investigator had found evidence of such images during searches of Daniel's home or electronic devices. To the prosecution, the claim only emerged when Erica stood before the jury and had to explain why she shot Daniel. Prosecutor David Alizasos pushed back hard. He told the jury that the accusation of child pornography was not evidence but a lie intended to diminish the victim in the jurors' eyes. According to him, it was an attempt to make Daniel Green seem deserving of punishment, so Erica's actions would appear more understandable. In the final days of the trial, both sides reiterated their core arguments. The prosecution said the physical evidence, the confession, and the communication data showed Erica Sandoval had planned and carried out the murder. Meanwhile, the defense insisted the relationship between Daniel and Erica was far more complex than the prosecution described, and that Erica's actions had to be understood in the context of years of conflict and fear. After nearly 2 months of trial with dozens of witnesses, many hours of evidence presentation, and heated arguments between both sides, the trial entered its most critical phase. On November 20, 2019, the jury in Erica Sandoval's case was asked to leave the courtroom to begin deliberations at Tulare County Superior Court. Before them was a decision that could completely change the defendant's life. Erica Sandoval was facing first-degree murder charges, and prosecutors further argued the case involved the special circumstance of lying in wait, meaning the defendant had ambushed the victim before attacking. If the jury agreed with that argument and convicted Erica, she could face the death penalty, or at least life without parole. In the courtroom, everyone understood the gravity of the decision about to be made. Daniel Green's family sat quietly in the back row. His sister, Misty Gray, and his twin brother, Matthew Green, had followed the entire trial from start to finish, hearing every testimony and every argument about their loved one's death. To them, this was not just a legal proceeding. It was the moment they hoped justice would finally be served. Meanwhile, Erica Sandoval sat at the defense table with her attorney, her face almost expressionless. Over the next several days, the jury deliberated behind the closed doors of the jury room. They reviewed the security camera footage, Erica's confession, the 9mm gun recovered, and the hundreds of calls she made before Daniel's death. At the same time, they had to weigh Erica's testimony about believing Daniel was harming their son, and her claim that she acted out of fear. The deliberations lasted nearly 4 days. But when the jury returned to the courtroom, they brought news that silenced everyone in the room. They could not reach a unanimous decision. Ultimately, the result of the deliberations was revealed. 11 jurors wanted to convict Erica Sandoval of first-degree murder, but one held out. In the U.S. criminal justice system, a serious criminal conviction requires the unanimous agreement of all jurors. Just one dissenter is enough to prevent a verdict. After hearing that the jury was deadlocked and unable to reach a common decision, Judge Joseph Kalashian had no choice but to declare a mistrial, meaning the trial ended without a verdict, and the case would have to be retried in the future. When that decision was read in the courtroom, many turned to look at Erica Sandoval, but her reaction barely changed. She sat upright in her chair, face cold and showing little emotion. To her defense attorney, the outcome was seen as a temporary victory. A hung jury meant the prosecution had failed to convince the entire panel beyond a reasonable doubt, and that meant Erica Sandoval still had a chance in the next trial. But for Daniel Green's family, the feeling in the courtroom was entirely different. They had waited nearly 5 years for this trial and hoped it would bring clear answers. Instead, they left the courtroom feeling the story was still unfinished, and the justice for Daniel Green remained ahead. While Erica Sandoval prepared to face the possibility of a retrial, the family of the police officer who died in the bathroom of his own home understood that this legal journey was far from over. The 2019 trial ended in a mistrial after nearly 5 years of waiting, and for Daniel's family, that meant they had to continue living with the loss without a final answer from the justice system. Misty Gray, Daniel's sister, and Matthew Green, his twin brother, said Daniel's death left a void they knew could never be filled. Daniel was not just a police officer in the small Tulare County community. To them, he was a brother, a sibling, an inseparable part of their family since childhood. The twins grew up together, went through tough early years side by side, and later even both entered law enforcement before Matthew switched to becoming a lawyer. So when Daniel was shot dead in his own home on February 6, 2015, that loss was not just a criminal case to them. It was the loss of a loved one they had known and cherished their entire lives. But among all the consequences the case left behind, one person was affected most deeply: Daniel's son, the boy Aiden. As the case progressed through years of investigation and trial, the court ultimately made an important decision regarding the child's custody. After the developments in the murder case, Erica Sandoval's parental rights to Aiden were terminated. That raised the question of who would care for and raise the boy as he grew up. The answer came from Daniel's own family. Matthew Green and his wife decided to adopt Aiden. For Matthew, it wasn't a difficult decision. He said it was the least he could do for his brother. Matthew explained that the most important thing to him was ensuring Aiden would grow up, knowing who his father was. Daniel Green, according to those close to him, was a father incredibly proud of his son. His friend said that after Aiden was born on January 5, 2013, Daniel frequently posted photos of his son on social media and spoke about the boy with clear pride. Matthew said he wanted Aiden to grow up understanding how much his father loved him, and that Daniel's death did not define his entire life story. While Daniel's family tried to rebuild their lives and raise Aiden, Erica Sandoval still had to face the legal system. After the first trial ended without a verdict, prosecutors maintained the murder charge against her and prepared for the next legal steps. That meant the story of Daniel Green's death was still not fully closed in the court system. But for many following this case, one painful reality had long become clear. A police officer was shot dead in the bathroom of his own home, a place that should have been the safest for him. And behind that case is a family still living with the consequences of that day, waiting for the moment they hope justice will finally be served. If you want to see more true crime stories analyzed in detail like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next story.